Hello, I'm Brandon Martini, a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
And I'm Carson Vasquez. I'm a private pilot.
And you're listening to the Aviation Mentors podcast, sponsored by Stratus Financial.
So buckle up, because the Aviation Mentors are taking off.
So today we have a special guest of ours, and he's actually a really good friend of mine. I've known him for, probably 5 or 8 years, something like that. His name is Chris Cerillo, and he is kind of a pilot's pilot. He's an awesome guy to know, and a great friend. He's the one guy that can always connect people together and kind of knows everyone everywhere. And he's really fantastic to get to know. So we're really excited to have him on our show today. So welcome to be here, Chris. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Carson. Appreciate it and glad to be here.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today, Chris. And today we want to give our listeners some insight on what's a pretty common goal for a lot of pilots in the industry. We know how much work is involved in achieving the goal of becoming a commercial pilot, so we wanted to hear your story. So let's kick it off with how you got into aviation.
All right, so I got into aviation. I think it's kind of a typical story for most people. I grew up, I was born right when Top Gun came out. So for me, that's the first aviation movie I ever saw. And of course, it was the most amazing movie ever, even to this day. So that's really what got me hooked. And so initially, I always wanted to be a military aviator. I wanted to go into the military, fly those fighter jets, and go to Top Gun myself. But as I grew up, my taste matured a little bit more, and I started to realize in the grand scheme of things, what I wanted was a really good paying job, good work life balance, and all that while still being able to fly. So that's how I got to where I am today.
That's awesome. That's what Top Gun does to people, for sure.
I actually got a question by a guy once. I subscribed to this wine box, Whalen Wine. It's in Central California, and I became friends with him ever since I went there. And whenever he talks to me about aviation, and I talk to him about wine, and we both have kind of a mutual interest. And he asked me when the Top Gun movie came out, he said, "Hey, Brandon, has the new Top Gun movie done as much as this wine movie he told me about did for his industry?" And we started talking about it for a few minutes, and it's really true. The Top Gun movie got a bunch of pilots motivated, the original one and the new one. So I think it's really awesome that it came out. And just going and see the Pacific Air Show in Huntington Beach last weekend, I got to see a ton of those Top Gun type airplanes, which was really, really neat. So yeah, Top Gun definitely helped us out.
Big time.
But I want to 100%. So I want to talk about some of your jobs in aviation, because you are a commercial pilot, some places where you worked, where you work now. And you mentioned that work-life balance. Tell us some stuff about that, and where you started, where you're at now, and where do you want to be in the future?
Starting off with my career, I did have a bit of a rough start. Unfortunately, going to school, sometimes you can make the wrong choice, and it can slow you down. So obviously, that's a very important decision going into aviation, is making sure you do your research and go to the right place. For me, I wasn't able to get my instructor ratings due to those circumstances, so I had to network and try and find a low-hour pilot job. And I was very lucky. After about a year or so of networking, I was able to find somebody who got my foot in the door with an aerial survey company. That company was called Geomni. They were part of Verisk Analytics. So I would fly a Turbo 206 and a twin engine Technam around doing aerial survey all over the country, actually. I was based out of Southern California, but the great thing about the aerial survey is survey work needs to be done nationwide, and it gave me an opportunity to fly around the entire country and gain just a vast amount of experience in different airspaces, different climates, all that stuff. It really helped me to, one, develop my stick and rudder skills, but also to just help reinforce a lot of that knowledge that was required of being a pilot. Understanding your regulations a bit better, understanding weather patterns, understanding the different types of airspace and how to communicate with people and enter and coordinate and whatnot. So that was honestly a great first job for me, because it really helped develop me into a more successful pilot. So after that, I joined a 135 cargo carrier called West Air, a FedEx feeder actually. So I flew a Cessna 208 Bravo Grand Caravan. and I did cargo work for them. Really fun job. So far, one of the best companies I've ever actually worked for. Great people. The job was really fun. Again, another learning experience because with that job, it was all single pilot ops. So you don't have somebody sitting next to you. It's all on you. And I've been into icing conditions, thunderstorms, everything that you can think of, and it really does test your skill and your knowledge by being able to be a single pilot and work under those conditions. But again, an absolutely fun job. And I think it's also a great step for some people, starting off in the industry. Everybody kind of wants to jump into the jets.
So sounds like you've flown into some pretty crazy places and things. I hope you really didn't actually fly into a thunderstorm, right?
Not into an understorm. No, we did have to dodge it, but again, it's understanding, how weather patterns work, which direction they're going, and how far you need to be away from them, and then navigating in that way. But yeah, it's, when I say thunderstorms, I'm just talking about navigating them.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know. I believe the FAA actually recommends at least 25 nautical miles. And I'll tell you this: I've been 25 nautical miles away from a thunderstorm, and I bet you that's still too close. I'm sure you would agree.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So neat. So what's your job now? What are you doing now after you've done that FedEx deal?
Well, so after FedEx, I actually went to the airlines. I started off at the regionals. First off, I went to Mesa. I did all my groundwork there. Unfortunately, Mesa did have quite a few uh, training delays, and so I had to make a decision of whether I wanted to stay there or if I wanted to kind of go somewhere that didn't have those delays at the time. Nothing bad about Mesa. Absolutely great company. I think every airline out there still does a good job with what they do. Um, However, for me, it was all about getting to the goal faster. So I ended up actually getting another offer over at Republic and took it. And I actually completed my training there. Um, Very good program if you're interested in going to the airlines. Honestly, both Mesa and Republic are great programs, just depending on the times that you go. But they had a fantastic training program. Their instructors were top notch. I got to fly the Embraer 175, which is a really cool little aircraft. Um, and one of the newer regional models out there too. So if you're looking to go in, I highly suggest that aircraft. Again, it gets you a little bit more familiarized with the more modern automation that's coming online now, and that's definitely highly sought after in the industry. So having a background in that is going to help you. Um, but yeah, from there, yeah, that's it.
So that Embraer, I know that I've done. I think I did 4 or 5 hours of the sim when I did my ATP CTP course, and that plane was a lot of fun to fly. I could not believe how capable it was. I mean, it was a pretty neat airplane.
Yeah, no, it's very capable. I was a little surprised of it myself. Initially I actually wanted to go into the CRJ, and that was mostly just because of basing options. But after talking to some people, they really kind of pushed me into the direction of the E-Jet. And once I actually got into it, I realized exactly why they wanted me to do that. And again, the level of automation in that aircraft is just phenomenal. And again, in this industry, having that background and that knowledge and how these automated systems work, these essentially these more complex automated systems, is very important.
That's way cool.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Obviously, we're pretty far away as far as hours go, and the coolest thing I've gotten to fly is a Baron. So, how does it compare when you're talking about transitioning from the smaller planes, even something like a Grand Caravan, going all the way up to an Embraer?
It's definitely a transition. The first time I got into the jet, I realized what everybody was talking about as far as understanding the aerodynamical difference between the two aircraft. Obviously, with any type of prop aircraft, it's so easy to just chop it and drop it. But when you're in a jet, things slow down a lot faster. Turbines spool down a lot faster. A lot slower. and also just the aerodynamic capabilities of the aircraft, the form of it and everything, the speed that it's going at. It takes a lot longer to slow it down. So you really have to understand the systems that are available to you as far as slats and flaps, gears, their limitations, and knowing the right times when to do all this stuff, particularly when you're in busy airspace and they're keeping you fast real close. So that was a little bit of a transition for me. I know I had to do two tours of IOE just to get signed off because that was definitely a transition for me.
That's crazy. Thank you.
What's your main goal in the future? Where do you want to be in aviation, like towards the end of your retirement, or in a year or 5 years? What's your future look like in aviation?
So I'm glad you brought that up because initially my top goals were either going to be FedEx, UPS, or United. I just like United's business model when it comes to the passenger side, so that was kind of the only reason why I even picked the passenger. Otherwise, cargo has always kind of been my true love. I like the cargo work. I like the cargo lifestyle. So going FedEx and UPS were always an ultimate goal of mine. However, I am currently with FlexJet as a corporate company, and I never actually saw myself coming this direction. But now that I'm here, I'm starting to realize how much I like this job and how much I like this work life. And I have actually considered probably staying here for life now.
Wow, that's incredible. I've heard a lot of good things about FlexJet, and I know, and everyone listening, I've known Chris for a while, and if he doesn't like somewhere, he'll definitely tell me. So the way that if he says he likes a company, they must be really, really good.
Yeah. Honestly, like I said, I mean, Brandon, I think I've even told you throughout my training um, that my interest in corporate aviation was pretty much non-existent. I never really had the desire to come this direction, and it actually took a friend to kind of talk to me a little bit more in depth about how the corporate lifestyle is. That kind of gave me the motivation to actually talk to them and at least give them a try. And I can tell you right now, I haven't been disappointed. FlexJet's been a fantastic company in almost every respect. They were an extremely transparent company. They tell you all the good, but they tell you all the bad. They really want you to come and be a part of the team. So they give you the full details of everything to let you make the best decision for you. But the work life balance has been fantastic. The schedule flexibility is just top notch, probably non existent in this industry. The pay is great too. They've increased to current industry standards, and they continue to do so. Um, but it gives me the chance to kind of basically work whatever schedule I want, and also make a good living. I can't ask for more than that, and also we get to fly really nice private jets. So
Way cool.
So, Chris, you've had experience in pretty much all four arenas of aviation jobs. You've had time building jobs, regional, cargo, corporate. So, I'm assuming you've had a couple interviews along the way, at least. And do you have any tips or advice for people that are getting into these, bigger aviation jobs and having pilot interviews now?
yeah, absolutely. First thing is networking. That's the most important thing in this industry. Is to network. Go to these hiring events. Go to these big organizational events like MBAA, Women in Aviation, RTAG convention, which is coming up here in Dallas in a couple weeks. Those are really big events to go to. Um, and it's a great opportunity to talk to people who are either in your shoes, have been in your shoes, or where you want to be. And so, talking to all these people, just opens up so many more doors for you. If you're somebody who's just starting off, like as a private pilot, and you still don't even see the light at the end of the tunnel, going to these places can actually get you opportunities for low-hour pilot jobs, or give you advice on how to get to the instructor level. Um, and if you're already kind of in the middle ground, it's a good place to just obviously start practicing your interview preps and whatnot. You can always, I mean, because there's so many companies there. If you have your ultimate goal lined up right there, maybe go to another company instead, and just kind of do like a practice interview with them. This gives you a little bit more time to kind of refine your skills in talking and conversation, and just interviewing in general, and kind of get all the bugs out before you actually go to the place that you want to. Um, for them, it's not really a big deal because they got so many people applying that it doesn't bother them that you come in and you're really just kind of doing it for the purpose of interview prep. They understand that. They understand this industry and they understand where you're trying to go. And in the long run, a lot of them are just actually there trying to help you too. They can actually see that, and they want you to develop into a better professional. So sometimes a lot of them actually encourage that.
And I don't have that experience, just a private pilot. So what's the layout of these interviews actually like? Like when you go into them, what are you expecting?
All right, so a general interview will be somewhere along the lines of a little bit of HR. It's a lot of get to know you, like right off the bat, trickle in with some HR questions, like tell me about a time, what would you do, type of scenarios. After that, they'll usually trickle in some technical questions, and after that, it's just it can depend on the type of company. Sometimes you might have a simulator evaluation, sometimes you won't. Again, that depends on the particular job. But that's basically the structure of it. Outside of that, there's a lot of great opportunities out there to help prepare you for those. Everybody talks about the gouges out there, to get into prepare for the airline interviews and whatnot. Those are good resources to help you. I wouldn't fully rely on those because remember these interviews. I mean these companies know that those are out there, so they know people are basically kind of memorizing these answers and trying to get in. But they're great resources because they do help you kind of start understanding like what types of questions they're going to be asking you, so you can kind of start refining your study to those specific topics and prepare yourself. Some other great things are using consultation services. I've actually used them. They're great services. They are pretty expensive, but I honestly think that they're well worth the money because these people are aviation professionals. They've been in the industry. They've even been in the recruiting departments before. They know exactly what's going to be asked. They know how these things work, and they really do help refine your ability to interview. So I think that's actually a very great resource to use. And if you can afford the services, I would definitely at least use it one time in your career to help prepare you. They help build your resumes. They help you understand questions and how to talk. Everything.
Do those people give you career advice on like how to get to where you want to go and stuff like that too?
They do. They do. They offer that service as well. They offer pretty much almost any service you can imagine as far as when trying to get a aviation job.
That's very cool. And I know that's kind of working your way all the way up the ladder. For people just starting out, because we have a lot of listeners that are just starting out in aviation or they haven't even taken their first demo flight yet. What do you tell them to do regarding like airport networking and some base level stuff? Would you have any advice for any of them before we wrap up today?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're flying around, you obviously tend to see a lot of people around the airport. Don't ever underestimate a person that you see on the airport. Even an airport manager has a lot of great connections in the industry. So be social. Talk to people that you see around. Be that person that people can look at as somebody who's talkative and enjoys the field, enjoys what they do, but at the same time knows how to communicate and just have that personable personality. I think that's an extremely important requirement in this industry starting off, because if you don't talk to people, you're not gonna meet other people.
100%. And the reason why I asked that is I feel very strongly about airport networking and networking in general in an industry that you want to be around. Just yesterday, there's a guy, his name happens to be Brandon also, which was kind of funny. So he was like, "Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm Brandon." It was great. But he was walking around literally to every single company at the airport yesterday, and he spent an entire day here. And all he wanted to do was get information about aviation, get information about learning to fly, get information about maintenance, get information about all parts of aviation because he was so dead set on wanting to get in this industry. And my guess is he woke up one morning just, I have to do this. And he literally went around and made friends with everybody. Super respectful, really well dressed, really smart guy. So that's just something you need to do if you want to make it in this industry a little faster, or you want to get a leg up. Go make those connections. So that's really, really neat. So thanks so much, Chris, for joining us today. Really had a blast talking with you and learning about what it's like as a commercial pilot. And hopefully we'll get to have you on again in the future, and we can kind of talk about some of the hurdles that you had to overcome, and some of the things that you do in the future. So that'd be really neat. I hope you'll join us again.
Absolutely, Brandon. Anytime.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Chris. A lot of those things are just things I wouldn't think about or don't have the experience to know yet. So I also really appreciate it. And thank you everyone else so much for listening today. We hope you have a better understanding of what it takes to become a commercial pilot and what it's like to be one.
And if you want to reach out to either one of us, you can reach us on Twitter or Instagram at Mr. Martini Guy for me, or for Carson, it's at Carson_AV17. And Chris, would you like to throw your handle out there?
Yeah, if anybody wants to contact me, Brandon, you're more than welcome to hand out my information as necessary to potential people, and I'm more than happy to answer questions and take just anybody who wants to know anything about this industry.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yeah, and as we wrap up for the day, just remember we're here to guide you in your aviation journey, so fly safe and enjoy the ride.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.